So UID has had a very, let's say a checkered past in the sense that we have moved from strength to strength over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore we have mapped our future as per, in some ways, the development of India, that India was more prone to the earlier ways in which education, engineering, medical, finance, and law. And gradually, with the opening out of the economy, more travel, more connections, more collaborations, design has got its place, especially even design schools, not only design schools, these schools, the other schools are all seeing the how design thinking and problem solving are helping them in moving their areas more. So UID has two or three key areas or pillars which we may say on looking at their future course direction. And that would, I'm sure, become the strategic drivers for our growth. One I would like to share, and because we should always share on a positive note, that we have had exponential numbers which are coming for the next semester. It's something we'll have to see through why it is. Is it because of our faculty? Is it because of our international collaborations? Is it because of our systems and processes? Is it because of our infrastructure? Four pillars on which any institution needs to stand on, especially who don't have very long legacies. So one is that we are moving from a student-centric education model into a more industry-centric model, where we have set up the startup and incubation center so that there is greater industry academia connect. So that's one area of growth. The other is that international collaborations. This is one strong pillar, because what are a few things which come to mind? Setting up communities of practice, sharing of best practices, looking at mapping and collaborating on the curriculum. The next good news which I would share is something which I had kept to myself for quite some time, is that we have launched a 4-year global design program in which every alternate semester a design student goes to a different university in a different continent. So maybe the third semester is in Australia, the fifth semester is in Italy, and the last semester or the seventh semester is in UK. 3 institutes have sat together, made that collaboration, and we have launched it. And it has brought in something which we never thought, that how important is unlearning, how important is creative coding, and how important is interdisciplinary design for tomorrow. So 3 institutes, this has been tried as a model in business, but maybe it is the first time in India being tried out. And all this goes to the type of connections we make in a Cumulus conference or in other conferences. We gradually sit down and then curate a program. This has been one of the high points of at least my being in UID over the last 3 years. Then is that we see that this whole pandemic has created quite a new opportunities. So it is not that everything is doomed. There is a huge opportunity where I'm connecting with you. Otherwise, to call you, you had to come, I had to get on air and speak. Now you can connect to my students. We have the platform. There's an LMS platform. It's a Blackboard Collaborate. We have training for the faculty, a month-long training on how to improve, because Zoom had a one-way transmission. Very few faculty got a sense of the assimilation of the lesson plan, which a LMS gives you. A whiteboard gives you a synchronous class, a asynchronous class. You can put in a video, you can put in a rubric, you can put in some questions. So at the end of a class, you're satisfied that it has been able to replicate. My last point before I move to the other areas, what are the drivers, are that now in this, the opportunity is that, can I tomorrow get some of the best people to do the online subjects from across the world and make an archive which is of exemplary nature, and then use that for a flipped classroom, use that for a branded subject specialist archive, and use it in some anyways. If tomorrow I want to open a fully online masters, or I want to take some part of my course in the online. And the last, which I've shared with many, is that design is hands-on, design is tactile, and design is very much learning by doing and learning by collaboration. Those narratives which happen outside the class, those conversations which happen inside and outside the class, can somehow not be seen in the online model. And therefore, we have taken a conscious decision that we will do a hybrid learning for the next semester. And in our next semester, it will be blended learning. Half the students will come for 3 days, and the other half will be doing online. So we have maintained social distance, we have kept the sanitation, we have kept all the protocols of social distancing alive. And today is, within few days, we'll be completing the last academic year. And we have extended it by just 7 days because we could complete what we promised the academic year. My next academic year is in 3 phases. The first phase would be online fully for a month, then blended and the new faculty new students joining. And by 1st of September, I'll be in the entire campus will be on blended. So we thought that design needs that tactile nature of working in the labs, studios, workshops is what is the way to.
Okay, yeah, that really sounds sort of excellent that you use this situation to look for opportunities also for your institution. And I think one of the learnings from the crisis is that we need to build bridges between the institutions. And so this idea of sort of getting faculty from abroad to share the knowledge in online classes is very interesting, because this might be something like global programs. I just learned about the term a la carte program, where you can pick the stuff. And then it's super interesting. I mean, if you invite me to give a class, or if you invite a colleague from New York to give a class, is it like your program, my program, or our program, or is it just a program dedicated to a specific need? And I think your sort of position to switch from student-centric to industry-centric is a very clear position, actually, that I think is based also on your very intense engagement with the industry stakeholders in India, actually. Yeah, so that's super interesting, actually. Do you think that your position is a typical Indian position? I mean, because I think you're also connected with other schools. Or do you see a specific moment where UID will get a very clear profile, maybe being industry-centric, or maybe with your impressive master program? So what do you think is what the people can learn, especially from your institution?
Yeah, so it's been these 2-3 months have also been path-breaking, in the sense number of faculty out of the Cumulus. We had a WDO event where the chairman participated. So we had these webinars. So there's a lot of closeness which has come. One is the closeness between the faculty and students. 1,700, 1,800 students attending about 70 classes every day for the last 1.5, though there is something called the Zoom fatigue and so many other things. But based on staying in a limited space, in getting someone into some sort of a structure of a day, gave a lot of sense to both the faculty and the students to get through. But at the same time, we have been working with the association, the CII, the post-COVID challenges which were held. So our faculty are now jurors, as also part of the selection of a design challenge competition. So COVID threw in many challenges, whether it is to do with behavioral aspects, whether it was to do with medical aspects, or whether it was to design a process with work diagram involving critical thinking. So not only were we connected to the students through classes, but we were also reaching out to the industry to look at what a design school should do and can do to incubate some ideas, to be a board, a sounding board, and use our students as, let us say, some sort of a team which can survey, etc.
Mm.
So, in that, uh, we have made inroads with the industry. Uh, I will not be able to share, but at least 3 industries of very big nature have said that they will be setting up their say rooms or their academies within each school of discipline. So if I say that SolidWorks and my school of industrial design is looking at doing their events with us, and our students being used as their survey vehicles, and our startups to look at something with SolidWorks works, so that's industrial design. Adobe will look after my communication design. Autodesk and we are talking to look at our interior design department and our industrial design department. So and Lectra and one of 2 more technical support for the fashion design. So we are gradually, as I said, I'm giving you instances how we have gone into from a student centric into an industry centric.
Well, yeah, I think that that's not even a real contradiction. I mean, you educate the students for a certain sort of future opportunity, for a professional opportunity. The professional opportunities for most of the students will be in an industry that's in a phase of transition. So having this closeness, as you've been mentioning, is an important issue, and I think it would be super interesting to sort of share the experiences in half a year or in a year's time, actually.
So so we know that employment is a challenge, internship is a challenge, and many industries are morphing it into a e-internship because at the 3rd year, a student needs to know how the industry functions, and we know what is happening to the industry. So some interactions in some form, whether it is online and gradually move into once things improve. So we are getting this opportunity so that the students are not shortchanged at a particular point in time. Otherwise, there'll be a dead stop. Now, at least there's a movement that they see that they will get a chance till December to do something in the industry. That also means that you have to revamp the curriculum and the timetable so that you can cover the entire student experience of whatever are the outcomes of that semester.